Might just be me and you, Sam.
Okay, hi everybody, and welcome to our Mastering Meddbase webinar. Delighted to be here, and for anybody who doesn't know us yet, I am Alice. I work in the product marketing team at Meddbase, and I'm joined today by Sam, our head of product, and Ellie, who is wearing Meddbase red, very exciting, who's our account management lead. So welcome to our webinar, and we will just give it a few more seconds for people to join. I think we are great, 26 people. So hi everybody. Feel free to comment in the comments box. Ask any questions that you have on any of the features that we're going to go through throughout the webinar, and then we will also have a full-on Q&A session towards the end. So together, Sam, Ellie and myself are going to go through a bit of a recap of 2024 so far. I can't quite believe it's June already. So we've had 6 months worth of Meddbase releases, and we thought that it would be a great opportunity for us to dive a little bit deeper into some of our kind of feature spotlights released since January. And then I'll hand over to Sam towards the end, and we'll go through our product roadmap for the second half of the year to go through what we're working on now and what's coming in the future. So without further ado, here we go. So before we dive into the feature spotlights, I thought I'd just show this slide, which some of you will be familiar with from our previous webinar back in January. So all of the features that we go through today have been through this development process, which Sam and the engineers go through for every single feature, no matter how small or large. So we start off with the whole ideation process, and a lot of our customers are involved within that stage. So lots of our features come directly from user feedback, which is really exciting. And then they go through this whole kind of design and development process, which is a lot of back and forth. It's not as linear as this diagram shows, but design development back and forth before it finally reaches our testing and quality assurance team, take that feature through rigorous testing before we then release it to our wider customer base. And this really brings a smile to my face, because I think we're not so good at looking back sometimes. I think no matter what role you work in or what company you're at, everybody's got a long list of things that they're ticking off every day, every week, every month. And this gives us an opportunity to actually showcase the work that we've been working on for the past 6 months and take a bit of a rain check and make sure that our customers, all of you on this call today, are aware of what we're doing, so that you can continue to get as much functionality and value out of Meddbase as possible. So from January to June, we've released a lot of things. These are by no means least everything that we've released. Hopefully you will see our product release notes each month. And these are some of the kind of key highlights that we wanted to discuss today. Sam, just kicking you off here, what was the most kind of challenging feature that has been worked on, would you say, over the past 6 months?
Oh,
I purposely haven't said favourite there, you'll notice.
That's really interesting one. Challenging. I think
Yeah.
the duplicate patient work list was a pretty unique challenge, because it forced us to think about how lots of different types of customers might define what a duplicate patient is, and then also how they might want to deal with them. There's a lot of configuration settings that can get tweaked there, and trying to figure out exactly how, not just how to deal with that from the data point of view, but also how to represent that to a user who doesn't necessarily know what Soundex is and things like that was a really interesting challenge.
Yeah, that's a great one. This is particularly one of my favorites, and we will talk about this later, which is very exciting. And Ellie, over to you. You can tell us your kind of like favorite feature from your point of view, but also your customer's point of view. What were you most excited for to be released?
Yeah, I think, well, not actually released just yet, but at the end of June, I think the PAO zero value authorization is going to be a huge piece. I think from my perspective, one of the reasons why I'm excited to see it on the roadmap is it's something that in account management we hear a lot about. It's something, piece of feedback that we hear from quite a lot of our client base. So to then see it on the roadmap and make that real life difference is really exciting for us.
Amazing. Yeah, I love it when features have come directly from user feedback and we're finally ready to launch. All right, great. So without further ado, Sam, I will hand over to you for our first Spotlight feature, which was from back in January. Can you believe it?
Feels like ancient history at this point, doesn't it? But this was a really interesting and exciting one. I think we spoke previously around the whole, and we've had a dedicated webinar on the e-prescribing service and our integration with Signature RX. And we when we first launched that feature, we got quite a few customers onto it fairly quickly, and we started getting some really good feedback based on their use case. And one of the things that we didn't include in the original release was being able to electronically prescribe directly from a prescription task. We had included the ability to do it from a consultation when you're making a new prescription, but not from that task workflow. And we had some feedback from a couple of customers who were prescribing almost entirely through the prescription task function, which was interesting, an interesting use case that we hadn't accounted for. And I'm really glad that we got to make a change to that feature to allow those customers to follow their process that was well embedded and still get all of the benefits of the integration with SRX.
Amazing. And we've got a quick screenshot here. Hopefully it's big enough for you to see so that you can see in that kind of box that's popped up, the top right says e-prescribe. And Sam, is that available to everybody who has the integration with Signature RX?
That's right. Yeah, as default rolled out for all customers. So yeah, you can launch the e-prescription window directly from that prescription task, and then it'll take you through the same steps as it would if you were e-prescribing from a consultation.
Brilliant. All right, great. Well, we definitely encourage you to take a look at that. And if you've got any questions, then do let us know, let Ellie and the team know. So, Feature Spotlight 2, fast forwarding to April, and it is our clinical form and questionnaire form builder. Again, we do have a webinar specially designed for this, which Tamsin and Sarah Kate went through only a few weeks ago now. And Ellie, what's the uptake been on our kind of form builder?
Yeah, I think the form builder has definitely probably surprised quite a lot of people, a lot of clients with quite how easy it is. I think the quote that we hear quite often is, I was a bit scared of it. I didn't want to be able to do it myself because I was scared that I would break everything. But actually, it's super easy and I enjoy it. There's a few clients who have said that they feel like they're being quite sad at the moment, just spending time building and rebuilding and layering different forms on top of each other. So I think that the uptake has been higher than what we had expected and higher than the clients anticipated, just because it's just so smooth and easy. And what it allows people to do is to better visualize what they're building and what they want. We have a lot of clients who come to us who say, I know what I want to be asked during the consultation. I know what information I want from the patients, but don't quite know how to format that and how to present it in front of the clinician at that time. So having that opportunity to build it yourself really gives you that chance to see where each building block slots together. So I think we've had a lot of excitement from it.
Yeah, definitely. And I can see a question here about if there's a recording of the webinar. And yes, there is a recording of this specific webinar, which we will send out to everybody after this one. And just to jump on the back of what Ellie just said about some people being scared, definitely applied to me as well. But just to highlight that this is kind of separate from your Meddbase chamber. You don't need to go into your Meddbase chamber to play around with your clinical forms there. It's all separate. So you can play as much as you like until your heart is content. And no changes will be made to your clinical forms in Meddbase until you're entirely happy with it, and it has to be sent to us first. So no need to be scared of it at all. And Sam, from a kind of functionality point of view, what do you think makes why do we bang on about our clinical forms so much? Because I feel like we've definitely ramped up some features and functionalities within the last 12 months, probably, to make them a huge value add for our customers.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is one of the areas of the system that we're really proud about, and you know, as you say, we bang on about it quite a lot. We do talk to customers, new and old, quite a lot about this. I think it's one of the ways that Meddbase can help customers to become more data driven, right? Organizing your clinical consultation notes into a still very easy to use electronic form from a clinician's point of view, but one that gives the the back office function of the business the ability to do things like report on every single field that gets recorded by a clinician is a massive game changer in all sorts of ways, all the way from clinical safety and audit reporting through to sort of business performance, through to doing sort of population health reporting on your patient population, and understanding the issues that your patient population is facing at a sort of broader level. And all of those things come from something that still doesn't feel particularly onerous to use from a clinician's point of view. And I think it's a really good example of how Meddbase helps customers to as I said, be more data driven and use the information that they're recording already to make their business better.
Absolutely. We are very proud of our form builder, our clinical forms questionnaires, and all that brings in terms of the reporting capabilities at Meddbase. So sorry for everybody on the line that we keep banging on about it so much, but we definitely encourage you to go and use it and to also feedback to us. So anything that crops up that you're not sure of or you'd like adding to it, then please do get in touch with us, because that's how we can grow and develop the product. And yes, it is available to everybody. No additional cost, so it's available for everybody to use. And this is just a quick example. So there's lots of training documents and knowledge base articles based on the form builder. This is just one of them. So you can just quickly see how it's very kind of easy drag and drop situation, and you can build things quite quickly. Spotlight number 3, appointment booking question and answers. Sam, over to you.
Thanks. Yeah. So again, a feature that started with some client feedback and client requirements that we wanted to make sure that we were able to solve, and it started from the sort of goal of being able to capture some additional bits of information while an appointment booking was being made that were really important as a sort of gate for the appointment booking to go ahead. So mostly it was around capturing some additional financial or administrative information about that booking. And it was really important for the customer to be able to ensure that that data was recorded in order to be able to book an appointment. We've previously been able to record that information, but only once an appointment was booked. And when we were designing the feature, we knew it was really important that it was not something that was a sort of configure or develop once and then everyone uses the same questions. Obviously, the questions that you might want to ask during an appointment booking vary in all sorts of ways. That might be the type of appointment you're booking, the person who's paying for the appointment. And so we built a configuration system around it that let customers say, under these booking circumstances, ask my booking operator to answer these questions to gain this information from the patient. And make sure that we can make that changeable over time, make it so that we can report on all of the data that gets added there, and at the right level of audit logging and reporting and reporting on the change over time of that data as well, and then presenting that information to people on the appointment homepage. So when you go to your appointment homepage, some really important information about that appointment. So here we can see the user experience that you get while you're making a booking. So we're being asked to answer, what's the PO number for the appointment? What's our reason for booking? That's a drop-down menu. What was our first offered appointment? Choosing a date. If the patient's consenting to go ahead with treatment. So you can record information in all sorts of different types of data, set that up for specific appointment types or specific debtors. And then if we move on to the next slide, we'll see what it looks like once the appointment gets booked. And you can see that information sort of at a glance, and exactly what was recorded by the booking operator as it was recorded. And as I said, all of that becomes reportable by default as well. There we go.
This is great. This is great. Yeah, and I think we've got a oh yeah, Sandra said ignore me. Sorry, Sandra. Already answered your questions. But we have really made this configurable for you. So we encourage maybe, I mean, Ellie, I don't know if you've had any customers go through this already, but we'd suggest kind of going through your workflow and seeing what you do need, what you do ask people, and just jotting all of that workflow down, those questions down, and then you can input into this system, so that you can take out that kind of back and forth, that manual element to it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think just to give a bit of insight into some of the real life applications we've seen of those, some of the areas that Sam mentioned, so things like the requesting a PO, if you've got a specific employer who you're providing services to, you really want to get some data that only that employer is going to provide, so you don't need to ask everybody that information. But I think what this feature does really well is replace sort of workarounds that we've got elsewhere in the system. So as Sam mentioned, you can, have a pathway generate that kind of information after appointments being booked. We might now be able to do a bit of a task of cleaning up some of those sort of post-booking pathways, so we can bring it into that booking workflow. And similarly, we have certain clients might be using a custom field on the personal details of a patient to ask how they heard about who you are and why they're booking an appointment. It might be that you still want that information on a generic patient level, but why are they booking that specific appointment? Why are they booking this health screen as opposed to the health screening they booked last year? So you can get really quite bespoke with it. And it means that you can take away maybe some of those features and some of those parts of the system that you were using to get that information, but maybe not in the most efficient way, and really feed it directly into this process.
That sounds fab. And again, encourage all of you to work with your account management team and our support team, and we can definitely help you with anything that you need help with. But there is a great knowledge article about how to set this up, and how to configure it.
So there is a couple of questions in the chat as well. Olivia's asked if you can use that to record the country that the patient's in at the time of the appointment. You absolutely could. You'd need to define probably a drop-down menu of countries, or maybe even just free text, and ask, also enter what the time difference might be so that everyone can be aware of what that is. And Ali's asked about reporting. And if you've used the Meddbase report builder, you will be able to report on these booking questions and answers. There's new route tables available, and they're linked to the appointment table. So if you've built Meddbase reports before, you've already got all the skills you need to be able to report on this information.
Brilliant. Okay, so moving on to duplicate patient worklist. And yeah, as I said earlier, this is definitely my favorite in our list today. In a previous life, I used to spend a lot of time manually going through a lot of big Excel spreadsheets trying to figure out duplicative data, which was right, which was wrong. Did I need to delete stuff? Did I need to merge stuff? And so to see it live and kicking in Meddbase with patients is really exciting.
Yeah, I think this. I mentioned at the top of the call that this was a particularly challenging feature to design, because we wanted to be able to bear in mind how different customers might treat or identify duplicates differently. And I think trying to go into, I don't think we'll be able to get into all of the detail on this call, but again, I think there's some pretty good documentation produced around how this works. Have we got, I think we've got a screenshot of the configuration screen. Is that right, Alice?
We do, yes.
Yeah, perfect. So there's a lot of options that you get as a client around how you would define a duplicate record. So is it fuzzy matching on name, or is it exact matching on date of birth? And then you can set a scoring algorithm, if you like, for how confident you want to be in a patient record being a duplicate, and also a minimum threshold under which records aren't allowed to be merged. So you can have quite a lot of control at the same time as having that flexibility of identifying what duplicate records are. And then users can see that in a work list. They'll be told whether they can merge records or not. You can merge multiple records all at the same time. So if you have many different potential duplicate records for a single patient, those can all get merged into a single master in a single action. And it really is like the full package end to end for managing what can be really pretty complex data problem. And I mean, similarly, Alice, I've spent quite a long time staring at spreadsheets, figuring out if this John Smith is the same as the next John Smith on the list, and comparing lots of different bits of data. And this takes a lot of the work out of that.
Yeah, it's great to see that there's just such a simple view, and you can see by this kind of top screen here that those bottom three are in kind of red because we've highlighted that the merging threshold is 50 and they haven't reached that, so you're unable to kind of merge them. But is this something easy that you can change, Sam? Maybe you want to have a look at all of your data. You can go and set this up quite quickly and easily, and then you could use that 50 that we've got there, but you could then go back and change it to whatever you
Yeah,
like.
absolutely. All of those configuration settings you can change over time. So you can adjust the system settings to match what you're seeing in the data and vice versa.
Yeah, brilliant. I would, if this was me, I would definitely be really nosy. I think this is a nosy feature. I would like to go in and just have a look and see what comes out when you change those numbers. I think that's quite a good thing to go and do. Ellie, have you had any customers kind of ask about this, or any issues that you've had with people setting it up?
Yeah, so this is a kind of feature where I think it's pretty much applicable to anybody who uses Meddbase. One of the things that we've got as an opportunity for every client is to have multiple sources of bookings. So you might have the patient portal, you might have the internal bookings. But I think where it can get really useful is if you're making use of the fast booking portal, where you want those really speedy bookings. The data that you put in isn't necessarily going to be the exact same data that was put in last time, and you can end up with quite a few duplicate records. So what this can do is really clean up that data for you, so you can still get the best out of that and the best value out of that feature, without having then that manual workload behind the scenes of matching up all of those fast booking patients.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
also really useful, I think, if you're doing lots of data imports, you might end up with some duplicate records that way. If you've got historical legacy data on Meddbase that came from a separate system, it will pick up duplicates in that as well. So it's really, there are a few different ways that you might get duplicate records in the system, but this kind of solves the problem for all of those ways.
Amazing. And this again is available to everybody. So do go and take a look at the knowledge base article after this and have a play around with it and see what you get as the output. Fine. And then our final feature spotlight is all to do with our Opeo integration. We've got two nice new features, one being launched, as Ellie said, at the end of this month, that went out in the product release notes on Monday. Sam, over to you.
Thanks. Yeah, so the first one, relatively simple change, but one that I think is going to have quite a lot of value, and that's being able to report on the type of card that the patient used when they made a transaction via Opeo. And that just gives you a really clear look of where your monies are coming from. It helps with reconciliation with the bank as well, to know how much money you received via Visa versus MasterCard versus Amex, for instance. That's available in the reporting engine on the payments table. You'll be able to see card type when you get Opeo transactions going through there. And then the second one, slightly more of a slightly bigger feature, is the ability to take a zero value authorization against a card. So customers will probably know that in the past, our Apeo integration was focused on doing advance payments or authorizations for a particular amount. And that's useful in a lot of scenarios, but sometimes you just need to check that a card exists and is valid, and then store a token of that card in case you need to use it for payment later. So the example that we had in mind when we were building this was a patient might need to pay for a cancellation fee, even though they're not paying any money up front for the appointment. And being able to do a zero value authorization just means you can check that card exists and it's valid. As I said, save it for later, and then you can use it later if you need to.
Yeah, I think this is a huge value add to our customers, and something that hopefully a lot of you will be excited to get using. And Ellie and the team can help you through that process in setting it up if you need any assistance there. Sam, just out of interest, is there once you've stored those card details, is there a kind of time frame where that runs out, or are they there forever?
Oh goodness, now you're asking. I think the tokens get stored. I think they get stored for the validity period set in your Apeo account, but I'm not 100% convinced of my answer there. I will have to go away and find out.
That's fine. I just thought of it as we were sat here, and it's like, actually, I have a question. Great.
Trust you to ask a question that I can't answer.
Sorry.
That's okay.
And yeah, Ellie, do you have a kind of bunch of customers who are wanting this to come out?
Yeah, definitely. So like I mentioned earlier, it's something that we get quite a bit of feedback on, is that we want to be able to store this card, but don't necessarily need to take action right away. We get quite a bit of this when people are taking advantage of other features like mail merge or the automatic recalls, where they're notifying patients quite far in advance that they want them to come in for an appointment. It might be for an annual health screening. It might be for a new service that they're launching in autumn, but they want to let people know about it now. And they want to encourage people to get booking, to get in, but they don't necessarily need to hold that quite possibly large sum of money either in a pending state or take it from them just yet. But they want people to feel comfortable booking that appointment with that safety net that they have also got the card's details stored in the background. So I think it's a really valuable feature when it's used alongside some of the other features that we've got that can really pull in patients for existing patients for repeat appointments, or new patients when they're using mail merge to really get the news out there that they've got these particular appointments and these products being launched.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, great. And then just to reiterate that the zero value authorization is not live currently, but it will be live at the end of June. So just a couple of weeks left to wait. Amazing. So please do keep your questions coming on anything that we have just gone through, and we will answer those shortly. And then I will now hand over to Sam to take us through our product roadmap for the rest of 2024 and beyond. And to see how we're doing, there's definitely some key features here that we have talked about in the past that I know that you will want an update on.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Alice. Yeah, and this was really encouraging when we were setting up our slides for this, because a lot of these features have moved left, if you like. If they used to be next, now they're now. And it really shows the progress that's being made, as well as, as we've looked back at features that we've released over the last 6 months or so. So I'll talk through each of these in kind of a high level detail. I'm sure we will return to talk about them in more detail in future webinars, but yeah, we'll go through top to bottom and talk about each of them. So in terms of things we're working on right now, the first one on the list there is contract management, and that's a new system that sits over the top of our existing billing rules and lets customers do new and interesting things related to contracts. So things like being able to automatically stop a booking if it's trying to be made when a contract has lapsed, for instance, or charging customers automatically for contractual fees or per capita fees. There's quite a lot of new functionality coming down the pipeline there, all around how you manage contracts, particularly with larger corporates or insurers, where you want some additional automation and validation around bookings and the invoices that get generated as part of them. There'll be lots more detail to come on that as we start to launch features there, but it's a relatively big project and one we'll be splitting up into phases. So we'll be releasing functionality as it becomes available. Next on the list, I think probably one of the most exciting things on this list, if from my point of view anyway, is the next generation of the fast booking portal. The fast booking portal is something that lots of our customers are using today, and it is pretty invaluable in terms of making sure that bookings can happen as smoothly as possible and there are as few barriers to entry as possible for patients. And we recognized that and wanted to improve it in all sorts of ways. There's a lot of backend changes in terms of how quickly the API responds to requests and the new functionality that we're going to be releasing there around a true guest checkout experience, but also some really amazing front-end changes in terms of the look and feel. That has been a ground-up redesign of the whole UI system. It's been an incredibly interesting thing to be a part of. I think it looks really good, and I can't wait for people to see it. And it is coming very soon.
Yeah, we are definitely very excited. I think everybody here at Meddbase is really looking forward to this launching, and we've had sneak peeks over the last couple of months of what the product team has been working on, and it does look really great. So yeah, very exciting things to come.
Definitely. And then lastly, on the sort of now list that we're working on is a project on data warehousing. We talk about data a lot. We talk about reporting a lot. And our reporting system is something I'm really proud of. But that doesn't mean it can't be better. And that doesn't mean we can't give customers even better and more access to their data. And data warehousing is really a set of tools to do just that, where customers will be able to connect to a reporting database that has all of their data in it and use that to combine it with data from elsewhere. You might be running other line of business systems that you want to incorporate into your overall sort of management information or business intelligence. And the data warehousing toolkit's really going to allow that. Again, another pretty big chunky project, one that we'll be releasing in stages and one that we will continue to expand on over the future. But that first phase of getting the data out and into our customers' hands is well on its way now.
Yeah, brilliant. And Sam, just for reference, obviously these kind of 9 tiles on this slide is not everything that the team are working on now. These are the kind of huge projects, really, the massive ones that need even more time than the smaller features that we launch on a kind of monthly basis. And yeah, just definitely want to highlight that we'd be here for a year if we went through everything that the product team are working on.
Yeah, absolutely. I've picked out a few of the as you say, bigger, chunkier, more impressive features to talk about on this call, but that doesn't negate or reduce the importance of those smaller improvements that we're making every month and that we'll talk about in release notes and probably in future of these webinars. Sally Ann's asked a question around her employer's specific bespoke portals and our new portal technology. Sally Ann, we're talking to Sjoerd about it. I'm sure you know who that is, and that it will all be possible to integrate into your bespoke portal. It won't change your default portal by default, though. There'll be some deployment work necessary there, but we can speak about it further outside of this call. Cool. So if we move on to things that are coming up next, and moving on from that, second generation fast booking portal is the next generation of the patient portal. So as we're upgrading that whole patient-facing sort of tech stack, if you like, once we're finished with the fast booking portal, we'll move pretty much immediately on to rewriting the patient portal. It will be built in the same UI system as the new fast booking portal, so we'll have done a lot of the work already, which is great for us. And it will do things like give us a WCAG compliant UI for the entire patient portal experience. It's going to give us some new and improved APIs, that is how the portal talks to Meddbase and let us do new and interesting things with it. And again, just really a refresh of the UI UX of that portal, I think, is going to be really important for customers who utilize our stock portal. Again, just a new, fresh-faced look of doing even more things than patients currently can in the patient portal, I think, is going to be really important. The next one, exposure groups, is perhaps a little bit more of a specific feature. It's primarily focused for customers who are doing occupational health or perhaps corporate health screening, where they might have a group of patients who are exposed to a particular risk, and that means that they should follow a set series of steps to make sure that their health is protected and the right preventative measures are put in place and the right monitoring is carried out to make sure that they continue to be fit for their role. And exposure groups is a whole series of features, again, around managing that, configuring it. It's going to be really interesting to see it get used by customers, but we already have a lot of ideas of how it might be used in those occupational health and screening spaces, and will be a really powerful addition to the feature set there. Another one that I have some particular interest in, I used to work in an occupational healthcare company and have a lot of experience of what this means to deliver this service on the ground. And I'm really interested to see what our customers do with it.
It's been great working with Sam on this, actually, because it's definitely one of Sam's passion features, passion projects. And you're bringing so much experience into this whole feature that I'm really excited for it to launch.
I will point out it's not my idea. Like I don't come up with the ideas. I just help present them. And again, we are talking to a lot of customers, some of whom have been using the system for a really long time, about how this system should work and how it should fit into the overall Meddbase landscape and experience. And that's been really rewarding, actually, really, really rewarding. And then the next one, another really, really big project, actually, is a brand new set of system-to-system APIs for allowing Meddbase to talk to other applications. That's a really, really, really broad and kind of vague statement, but that I think just attests to how multifunctional the feature will be. Really, it is a very generic way of saying Meddbase needs to talk to this other system, and here's the language that we're going to speak. So if we're thinking about integrating with, PACS systems, with other line of business applications very similar to Meddbase, with CRM systems, all of these things need to talk about the bits of data that exist in Meddbase. And we're building, as I said, a brand new set of APIs that describes how we talk about them. And it's just going to make integrations easier, faster, a better, even higher level of security, and easier for external developers and other parties to understand the language that we're speaking as well. So it will help us do all sorts of things, but does sound a bit vague when you talk about it at its base level.
There's lots going on with that one.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You need to sort of sit back and understand all of the bits of data that Meddbase holds, and then figure out a way of generalizing what other systems might want to call that or talk, or the way they might want to talk about it. So it's a lot of background work, a lot of really hard work going on in the engineering team, and again, will be really exciting to see it start to bear fruit. I think relatively soon. So that's all of the now and nexts, and that's kind of the sort of relatively certain near to midterm future. And if we think about that slightly later term future, these are ideas, I think we talked about this last time, but these are things that have been through that ideation phase and are actually in the design phase at the moment. So we don't necessarily have as solid a view of exactly how they're going to look, but we do know the goals that we'll be meeting with them. So for instance, with the UI system refresh, we've mentioned things like WCAG in the patient-facing UI. We want to bring that same level of compliance to the main application, so to allow Meddbase users to have a really easy to interact with UI system, and also do things to help improve the user experience when you're in Meddbase. So working with a modern framework for building UI components will help us do all sorts of interesting and exciting things in the Meddbase main application about how people actually interact with it. It's a really big project. It will be running for a really long time, but the nice thing is, again, we'll be able to release small bits of it over time as we make changes to the system. So you will start to see even more changes to the UI than we've done over the previous year in the coming 12 months. Next on that list, clinical device integration. So if we think about the systems or the bits of kit that clinicians might be interfacing with directly on a day-to-day basis, things like audiometers and spirometers and those kind of things, we want to build really close interfaces between Meddbase and those systems or those devices to make the experience of performing a medical as seamless as possible and as joined up as possible. So being able to say from Meddbase, I want to perform a spirometry test and have the device that you have in your hand or in your mobile medical unit or in your clinic room automatically pick up the details of the patient that you're going to be performing the test on, perform the test on the device, and then have the data sent back directly to Meddbase, stored in the medical record of that patient. And as I said, a very seamless and sort of joined up experience. And that's something that, again, something we feel really strongly about is that we want to make that that experience of moving data around between different systems as easy as possible so that people aren't having to double enter things or download a PDF and upload it to the record. Not that these are terrible workarounds, but it could be better. And we're aspiring to be much better. And that's what clinical device integration is all about. And then lastly, but not leastly, should have worded that better. A facelift and a redesign of the slot finder. So some of the people on the call might use the slot finder quite a lot. I think it's an incredibly powerful tool for getting bookings into the system that might be really complicated and might have lots of sometimes partially competing requirements around the needs of that booking, whether it be the clinician, the room, the site, the sex of the clinician, all sorts of things. And the slot finder has served extremely well at that over the past, I don't know, however long it's been there, 15 years probably. But again, I think we have aspiration to be better. We think we can present the information in a more easily consumable way. We think we can give a better user experience, and we think we can make it more tailored to the way our clients actually make bookings. So that's a project that we'll be working very closely with customers on to make sure that we're, solving exactly the right problems rather than, trying to solve every problem under the sun. We want to make sure we're solving exactly the right problems. So, I think our customers should expect outreach from us sometime in the next 12-ish months to start talking about what that might mean for them, and we want to gather a lot of feedback on that. So yeah, hopefully we'll be in touch with all of you fairly soon on that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sam. And then Ellie, that was a whistle-stop tour of a few things that we have released this year and what we're going to be working on next. If any of our customers do have any questions on what we've covered now or what's coming up next, what should they do?
Yeah, so get in touch with us in a variety of ways. You can either reach out to our support team, raising a ticket if you've got some questions about something. Get in touch with your account manager, your client success manager. You'll get the release notes regularly. So everything that Sam's mentioned that's coming next will all be embedded into those release notes. But if you want a bit more information, if you want to know some more details about it, then just get in touch with your account manager, client success manager, the support team. We've all got the same resources internally and all want to help make sure that you make use of all of these great new features.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So yeah, if anybody does have any questions on what we've covered today or anything else, then please do drop a comment in the comments box here. And then, yeah, particularly with the slot finder, which Sam's just gone through, if you do have any thoughts, immediate thoughts that spring to mind, then do definitely get in touch with us because we'd love to hear your feedback on how you're using that currently and anything that you think could be better. We can take all of that feedback on board before that last but not least slot finder makes its way into the blue column in the middle. So yeah, please do feedback on that one.
And just in terms of feedback, sorry to butt in, Alice, but if anyone has any feedback about anything, again, just another reminder that user voice is a great way of getting that feedback to us. It allows us to see it all in one place, and vote on ideas that you think are good ones. Comment on it, discuss. All of that information is super helpful for us when it comes to making decisions around what project to start next. So yeah, I do definitely encourage everyone to use user voice.
Oh yeah, brilliant. And we've just posted a link to user voice in the chat. Sam, we've just had a comment come in about clinical forms. And if people have already got a clinical form, how do they go about updating that?
Yes, so you can load existing clinical forms into the form builder. I am fairly sure that is covered in the knowledge base articles. If you get stuck at all, please feel free to reach out, or please do reach out to the support team, and we'll give you a hand.
Yeah, great. So yes, we will send you full information with everything that we've covered today later this afternoon, and that will link to all of our kind of collateral that we've got on all of the features that we've gone through, which will include other webinars, training videos, and knowledge base articles. It really is quite a simple kind of step-by-step process. So we're really hoping that you'll be able to go and have a play around in that clinical form and questionnaire builder. Brilliant. All right then. Well, it is Thursday. Everybody's on their lunch. It's getting to the end of the week. So I think we can give you 15 minutes back. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you've got any feedback on this webinar, please do get in touch with us as well. We would love to keep providing these for you and keep improving. So anything that you can think of would be great. But that leaves me to say thank you, Ellie and Sam. That was great. And we will be back in touch very soon.
Thanks, Alice.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.